don't want to waste the people's time.
Yeah, you do.
Wait, I mean, that's what podcasts are.
What?
Yeah, that's what they want. The personalities. They want like the real person.
They don't want my personality.
Well, not yours.
Yeah, not mine. So yeah, this is whatever we call this. It's been like music review club and group, and whenever I explain it to people, I don't really know what to say, what it is. But yeah,
How's it going?
Hi.
for the last 2 years or so, we have, as a group, picked an album a week and taken turns, and we've made each other listen to that. And we are going to turn that into something that we record, because at work and things like that, I have people that ask me like, hey, what's the album this week? And I've been like, oh, there might actually be interest in this. Maybe.
It's much easier to put into words than it is to write out, which is what we've been doing. We've written out reviews, 3 of it. Well, there used to be 4 of us, 5 of us at one point, but it's just us 3. And we're just going to talk about some albums and some other fun stuff.
Yeah, and hopefully there is, even if it's just our close family that listens, there is something out there. So since it's turning into something that we record, we are doing something different, where we are all going to pick an album. We're going to record this every 3 weeks and release it then.
For scheduling purposes and the fact that the albums can breathe a little more over 3 weeks rather than just one a week.
Because it is sort of hard to be like, hey, here's this album that somebody took so much time to write and put together, and sometimes over an hour long, into a week's worth of time, where sometimes the week ends and it's like, hey, I don't know what I think about
And
this album.
you're still trying to get your thoughts together about the album. You know, like there's a lot that goes into the albums, right? You know, lyrics, production, storytelling, instrumentals. It's hard to cram in a week, so I think the 3 weeks is a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though it's still 3 albums and kind of still the same amount of time. Like, I guess it could still be organized as like a this week, but
It's much more palatable.
yeah, whatever works for anybody. Or if you just see an album in a thumbnail and be like, hey, I want to know what they click on, I think about this band. That's.
And by the way, we started this about 2 years ago, so we have covered a fair bit of music already.
This is in a room of mine, and as a side note, all the things above my head are actually albums I have picked, minus like things that haven't been pressed on vinyl, or that's really it. I've picked, I think, 1 album that's not up there that's actually pressed on vinyl. So that is the range of music that I pick normally and like.
And actually, we rate the albums on a scale of 1 to 10, and the highest rated album is not actually up there. Tristan, would you like to tell them what
it is an album named Jiminy by Bear Ghost, which is for some reason the one that we've all agreed on.
Somehow, some way, it got an 8.5 from all 3 of us. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but
pretty easy album to average.
It was the only album we all agreed on.
Yeah. So like
it was a pretty dope album.
Yeah.
Generally, me and Timmy don't agree. Me and Brandon most of the time agree.
We usually agree. We come to the same agreement, but we'll have like different favorite songs, and like we'll come to about the same rating, but my favorite song will be your most hated song, and vice versa.
Yeah. Besides 21 Pilots, I guess. That's the one.
Yeah. So me and Timmy do not like 21 Pilots.
No, not at all.
I'm sorry. That's just how it is.
Like, as just an example, Holding Absence has probably my favorite vocalist ever. And before I even wrote out my review in the group chat, Timmy said that he didn't like the vocalist. Like, the thing that I'm like,
he's really
this
good.
Is it.
I don't remember what that album sounds like.
Yeah, that's fine.
He is really good. Me and Tristan have seen that band live, and his name is Lucas, right? Yeah, he can belt it out
probably
live.
My favorite vocalist. And Timmy was like, yeah, he sucks.
He probably did. I was probably right.
No.
Yeah, we've had people come and go. The three of us have been here since the beginning.
It was like, what, July 2021?
The Starset concert I was trying to get everybody to go to was July 6th, I believe.
So yeah, about late, because I remember I was on my family vacation to Florida, and I had to quickly cram in a listen to Vessels by Starset, which is the first album up there. I don't know if they can see that or not.
Yeah, the first one we ever picked, because I went first because I had the idea. I'd actually pitched this to another friend group, and they did not want to. So then I sat on it for a really long time, and then I was like, hey, this is a kind of sort of a way to get people to actually listen to the things I'm like ranting and raving about. And also I used it as a way to get people to go to concerts with me, which is normally how I time my picks.
It's true.
They're normally planned out. Like I have my next like 7 picked.
When he started this, I called him out and was I think I said this is just an elaborate ploy to try and get us into going to the Starset concert with you, isn't it?
That elaborate ploy has lasted 2 years.
He got us. I mean, what can I say?
But this is something that we were going to do anyway. It is something that we have done for 2 years, not 10. I think we all enjoy it enough to keep it going.
Well, we enjoyed enough to take it further with this, recorded podcast.
Listening to music is what I spend most of my time doing. I don't really normally do shows or anything. It's normally just music and gaming.
Same here. Music, gaming, podcasts. That's pretty much it.
I don't listen to a lot of music at all.
When this started, I actually told Timmy that he could pick songs if he wanted to. If he started running out.
He says he's running out of albums, but there are a lot of albums out there.
Yet has repeat artists until last week. And Yet is it running out. So I don't know. We'll see. But he comes from the least music-oriented person that we had and somehow has stuck out. And I was surprised he even said yes to when I even offered doing the group. I was just like, hey, you could just be in the group chat with us if you want.
You could just watch. But no, he's stuck with us, and look at us now.
But, again, this is something that we were going to do anyway. I have noticed that we're talking about this, that there is some interest. I actually have a guy at work that when he is there will be like, what's the album? And he'll actually turn it on and just play it out loud.
So it's caught some outside interest.
And I was like, well, if we're going to record it, and it's better when we talk in person, and there might actually be outside interest, even if it's not like a ton of people, we might as well. And it gets friends together, which is always good.
That and it's a good communication with people. Like it's kind of I always equate this to like a book club. Like someone will pick a book, and the whole group will read it and give their thoughts. That's basically what it is, but with albums.
I think it is more interesting with music as a topic because I was thinking about it because my brain just thinks about things nonstop and every little detail of everything. I was like, music is the one thing that a mass majority of people could listen to and be like, normally people recommend like Michael Jackson or like the big names, and a lot of people like
which we have listened to Thor by Michael Jackson. Dude, Timmy's pick.
But for some reason, there are also people that don't like him, and actually, that album didn't review that well with us. As like as a whole.
As a whole, yes, it's. I can only really remember my review, but
there were songs that are not great.
It has very legendary songs, but also
it has My Girl.
It's The Girl Is Mine.
That's it.
The Girl Is Mine. Yeah, that song's a turd.
Which as soon as we reviewed it, started playing in grocery stores.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm starting noticing this song in public. Why is this here?
I hate that song.
I think I gave it like a 7 or so, and that's basically solely on the back of Thriller, Billie Jean, Beat It, PYT.
But also, if you look at a movie or a show, generally, if it's good, people think it's good. There's not like a divide. Or like Breaking Bad's a good show. Nobody's going to disagree.
I've heard that. I haven't seen Breaking Bad.
But I've watched like half of it.
I mean, I'm right there, but I've never heard anybody say it's bad. I've never heard anybody say like The Godfather is bad, or
The Sopranos, or yeah.
I can. 21 Pilots sells out arenas. It's probably the biggest band I listen to. Nobody else I ever talk to about them likes them.
Music is a lot different in that way, where it's like there are varying wild opinions from one person to the next about a band. Like we covered earlier, Chris. I mean, you can see all this 21 Pilot merch he has behind him.
And my pop vinyls, I got the.
And me and Timmy just hate it. We do not like them at all. But so it goes.
And it won't be the end of you guys listening to.
And that we can't just not listen to an album. Like that is rule number one. We have to at least give it a try.
Yeah.
Whether we want to or not.
So it's generally not agreed upon. I think we've had 1 or 2 albums that all get above a 5.
Generally the average rating, since it's been the 3 of us, is like a 5 to a 6. Maybe drop into like a 4 if it's not that great.
A repeating score, because dividing things by 3 is not good.
Right, they just get rounded up.
Yeah. But yeah, normally about a 5 or 6, because 2 of us will like it or one of us will be middling on it, which is most of the time. But then I also just really like hearing people, even if I don't get it, talk about music that they like. I think it is very cool. Right. Even if you're going to immediately turn around and not like it.
I think that is probably the best part about this, is that, you don't have to like everything, but it's cool to see where, your other 2 friends are coming from with their music choices and why they picked it. Like, you're not going to like everything, obviously, but it's good to, I think, expand your horizons and, maybe you might pick up something new. Like, I know Timmy's picked a few oddball things I've never heard of, and they actually reviewed pretty well. It was like your first or second pick was a Necrogoblicon.
Yeah.
And it ended up with like a 7.5 rating, which is pretty good for us. And when he picked it, I don't think anybody expected a band named Necrogoblicon to, really set a high bar, but it did. I mean, it's a pretty good album. What was it? Bonkers. Welcome to Bonkers.
Welcome to Bonkers.
Yeah. That was really early on. Like I said,
that was like second or third pick.
Yeah.
From him. So we have all picked, I believe it's 22 albums.
Wow, 23. Yeah. I have the list of all rounds. Yeah. I didn't know it. I haven't counted.
We've done a lot of rounds. I've been trying to keep up because just to throw random rules in there. Every 5 rounds, we normally do like a gimmick thing where we all vote on like a
theme.
We've done like The Color Blue and Dead Singers, and something's been brought up as guilty pleasure, but something else beat it. It was like things that bring back memories.
Yeah, and then the most recent one was 4, so the album had to end in a year ending in 4. Which was kind of cool because Tristan picked an album from 2014, I picked one from 2004, and then Timmy picked one from 1994, so he went back 10 years each round, which is pretty cool.
We've also picked quite a range. Again, everything's above my head. I don't really feel like I need to talk about it. Where, like, even here, I went from... I don't know why I have a pointer. I went from a rap album to a Bring Horizon album. And I went from a mostly pop with some, like, scene stuff in it to a really depressing album. And a slam poetry album to a pop punk album. Yeah, we've done Demi Lovato, Taylor Swift twice. We've done Necrogoblicon. We have done Invent, Animate, and
Deftones. MF Doom. Well, Mad Villain.
Yeah. We've done
Rick Roll.
Yeah, we've done Rick Astley, and Mastodon twice.
Yeah. My favorite album that I have personally picked is Brand New, The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me. I think you guys like that pretty well. And Timmy gave it like an 8, I believe.
A week was not enough for that one. I've actually went back and listened.
That is probably my favorite album, like, of all time.
My wife was one of the people that were in this, and she picked 2 Movements albums that were probably the highest rated at the time. We also had 5 people then, so like the averaging was pretty good then.
Yeah, with the 3-person, it's kind of like, well, I mean, we touched on it earlier. It's always in the 4 to 6 range. If one person doesn't like it, it's gonna plummet.
But we've also done like no-name stuff, like Arm's Length, and like things that are much smaller that I think would be nice if we get anybody to listen to this to be like, hey, here's a smaller band, give them a shot, because like I'm seeing them at a house show in about a week. Like, it would be quite nice to see a band that is probably one of my favorite albums ever get bigger. Like, it might actually be my favorite album.
If you can convince that there's one more person to listen to it,
yeah,
like that's a win, right?
Yeah, like seeing what I would call as a masterpiece be played in a room that fits 100 people feels like it should be bigger, but it's not. So maybe my family will listen. Give it a shot since Tristan likes it so much. But yeah, if we get nobody to listen, that's cool. We're gonna do it anyway.
It's just for us, like, mainly.
It's better in conversation. Making it into a podcast or whatever you'd like to call it makes it to where I have to get people here. The
discussions are better in person about the albums rather than we just usually write our reviews on Facebook Messenger.
It's entirely been in a group chat this entire time, and then we would go separately and talk about, like, we've done, I don't know how to pronounce the name, but Måneskin, and we went and seen a comedy show shortly after that, and in the trip over we just talked about it way more than we talked about it in our like couple of paragraphs, and I was like, man, this should be way better if we just talked and made it an in-person thing. But like just sitting around a couch and being like, hey, this is what we're doing, seems more awkward than just recording it and seeing if anybody else has any interest.
It's hard to write down your words, man. I mean,
yeah.
Every Wednesday, so our usual schedule was every Wednesday we would review, and then the next person would pick their album.
I am very much hoping, all things considered, this will come out every 3 Saturdays is my goal, to get it on like the weekend. Just hopefully that schedule stays put and nothing comes up between recording and editing and getting it out, but that's my goal. So this is the first episode. I don't really know how to talk into it.
Well, no, episode 0
is
what we've been calling it.
So I figured with the tendency of the podcast or the review club or whatever you want to call it.
We don't have a name.
At all. That starting with reviews, if anybody is early in on the podcast or whatever, starting with 3 reviews puts everybody behind if we get listeners early on. So,
right.
Picking...
This is just sort of an introduction to what we're about and what we're doing.
So in short, book club, but music, much easier because albums are shorter and music is very, very objective. Where like I feel like even books would be like, this book is good. Most people aren't going to disagree. That's the short of it.
That's the gist. Yeah.
Again, very much enjoy doing it. We're gonna do it anyway. If nobody listens to this ever, we're gonna be here taking up YouTube's RAM space.
YouTube, Spotify, podcasts, Apple Podcasts.
Anything I can figure out how to put it on. Well, I'll just be taking up their bandwidth.
we will be on there, whether
we will be annoying the big corporations one way or another. So with that, I think we're just gonna pick, unless anybody else has anything to say.
I think we talked about maybe in future episodes we can touch on that a bit more. Like, if anybody out there has any questions, like, hey, have you guys checked this album out? And like maybe we can always revisit it. Or we
also have a spreadsheet. So like
we do have the spreadsheet. I have been working on that ever since we started.
With all of the albums that we've picked and what scores and everybody that's ever been in it when.
I mean, I did make it, but I think it's pretty good if I do say so myself.
YouTube and things and social media have community pages. I could just post that at some point. But other than that, I think it'd be nice to revisit some stuff. It's been 2 years. I don't know if anybody here actually remembers Vessel.
That's our first. I remember Vessel.
Or this pizza up here is the Below by Beartooth.
I mean, not every album is memorable, but that was our first.
Yeah.
So like that, I'm always gonna remember that.
It is also like an hour long because that's Star Set.
I've always kind of tried to be a critical thinker listening to albums, but knowing that I had to like make a review and stuff for it, like I got the gears turning. Like, okay, like what makes this album what it is, right? And
also, not professional music reviewers.
No,
we're all very biased.
Absolutely not.
Very, very biased.
Well, okay, so do you just want to get into the assignment? Is what we usually call it.
I have groups that I have never picked, even though we've picked 22 albums or whatever. Because music comes out a lot. Like, even this year, I have more albums that I want to pick than even came out last year altogether. And it's March, which is impressive. This will probably be a good year for music. I will never be able to catch up with what I want to pick and make you guys listen to. So I'm going to go and make you guys listen to Bad Flowers, Okay, I'm Sick, which I could pull up because it's right there, or I can just edit in like a picture. And there is also a song that they have released that was I've heard rumors that it was going to be on the album, but just didn't make it, called Move Me, which I'm also going to assign as an extra credit song, which is something that we've done a lot.
Yeah. We'll be like, hey, listen to this album, and then also, like, as a bonus, if you want to check it out, here's like a single.
So I don't really want to pull out vinyl because I probably don't have their picks. But, extra credit doesn't really count towards the score. It's just there. Listen to it.
It's just the fun.
I normally,
if you want to.
The way music is now, I normally just make it a single that like coincides with the album or should have been there or came out around the same time, but just never made it onto an album. Or in December and
or Christmas song. Yeah. I'm gonna say I think you've done that like twice.
Yep, every December. I've done it. Last December I had 2 picks, so I did 2 Christmas songs.
You stressed yourself out trying to find not only a good album to review, but also that same band had to have a Christmas song.
I also had to have an album that ended in the year that ended in a 4.
Right, because that was the gimmick.
Which ended up at my least well reviewed album, which is that one.
Set It Off's Duality. Yeah, I didn't much care for that one.
So Bad Flowers, Okay, I'm Sick. It's their debut.
That's an album that I've thought that Tristan was going to pick many times. Like by now, like I'm shocked that it's been.
It's actually
over 2 years, and it's just now getting
one of the flags on the wall. But yeah, I figured first episode, one of my favorite bands, might as well. I've never picked them before.
Okay, well, on that note, since that's kind of like I would assume a comfort album for you, one
Actually, hasn't been out that long.
Very well. You could probably that's probably one you go back to a lot. Right?
Yeah, no, it is. Especially, I always listen to it a few times before I pick it as well. So I've listened to it all this week. I listened to it this morning.
So I'm also going to go with a pretty familiar. It's actually an EP, which there's no rules against picking EPs. But I am going to pick Alice in Chains' Jar of Flies EP. That is the one with Nutshell and No Excuses on it. It's like 30 minutes.
Yeah, okay, cool.
But I like that EP a lot. All right, so Timmy. We just finished up our review of our last round before we started this. So Timmy kind of has to pick 2 albums in a row in a way. Well, you're just picking one, but
we were supposed to review that yesterday, and you're already halfway.
We reviewed his last. I don't know if we want to say what it was, but
it was Taylor Swift.
It was Midnights by Taylor Swift. So now Timmy has to pick again, essentially, like back to back. So what you got?
I might be getting the name wrong, so I'm just kind of. It's really long. I'm just pulling out of memory.
And you can pull it up if you want. We have no rules.
Yeah, there's no rules. Right. No rules against.
There's really no rules in the whole music group.
Tristan will probably put up, like the.
I'm hoping.
The picture, maybe.
I am new to editing. I really hope I can. That is exactly what I want to do. Because I'm going to make you guys show me what it looks like anyway, so that I can pull it up and download it as soon as we're done here.
Okay, I remembered it right. It's the head of NASA and the two Amish boys.
That's the band.
Is that the band or the album?
That's the album by Infected Mushroom.
Okay, that's much easier to remember than
That is,
whatever.
okay, this is a... I don't know, I'm not familiar with them, but it seems like it...
I've wanted to pick this album since we started, but...
Oh.
I feel like that's kind of the case with all of these.
I actually didn't know Alice in Chains did EPs. I'm so oblivious to even older albums having, or older bands doing EPs at all.
Well, I mean, it's
interested.
arguably... If Dirt didn't exist, it'd probably be their most successful piece of music that they've released.
Cool. That is our first episode. Hopefully people enjoy this. If not, it is still going to exist.
It's going to happen whether you like it or not.
I like doing it, and recording it makes it more fun. So, it's going to exist if anybody listens to it or not. So, hi, Mom, and whoever else wants to listen to this, because that is all I know who wants to listen to it right now.
We'll see you in 3 weeks.
All right.